So it's been nearly 1 year now since Tyson has passed. I've kept quiet. I haven't really told anyone the real story on how he actually died. So now we're going to go see the place that I've buried him and everything, and I'm going to open up to you guys for the first time after a year on Tyson's death, how it happened, why it happened, and how he changed my life, and why I'm here today doing what I'm doing. So basically, Tyson was, I purchased Tyson. Tyson was not an adopted dog. At that time, people were telling me to, adopt a stray dog off the streets, and I was always against it. I was like, nah, I want to buy a dog. Why would I adopt a dog from the streets for? I want a dog from scratch, so I can teach the dog everything. I had a different mentality. I had a mentality to what most people have a mentality to today. So anyway, a friend of mine helped me out. I found a pug. I purchased him. I actually paid money and I got him. Within a week of keeping him with me, I really couldn't handle it because I've never had a pet before. I've never had a dog before in my house. And I'm not used to a dog pooing and peeing everywhere. And within a week, I was ready to already give him away. Tyson. And every time he'd lick me, my leg or something, I'd go wash my leg, I'd wash my hands. I just wasn't ready for that in any sort of way. Anyway, after a little while, like I think it was the 10th day or the 12th day, he started to actually grow on top of me, and then I realized that, wait a minute, like he actually did his poop in the place that I told him to do it, because I was smacking him. I don't know how to raise a dog. I don't know how to teach a dog tricks or anything like that. I've never had one in my life. Guys, you gotta understand, my past was a very dark past. I was not this person I am today. I used to be a hunter. I used to hunt animals. I used to kill animals. Back when I used to live in Australia. So I was an evil person, And now I understand when I see people torturing or killing animals or whatever. I don't overreact like most people do. I'm not a fanatic. I understand the psychological side of that person because I was once in that state of mind, where the ego takes over and you do things that you think is right. You're feeding your ego. You're a man. A man can kill and hunt and eat meat and all that sort of stuff. So the thing is, straight after Tyson, I changed all of that. Slowly, my life started to transform into something that I could never imagine. And the first time I actually fed a stray dog was one day I was walking. Tyson was walking with me. I'm a very hard dad. I used to just throw him in the deep end. I used to throw him with the other dogs. I never really cared. I like. If I have a kid, I'm more of that guy where I like to bring him up in a rough environment. So one day, Budon, one of the stray dogs around here, he was following us, and then all of a sudden I'm feeding Tyson, I'm giving him like a sausage, and then the next minute this other dog's looking at me and another dog's looking at me. So I went and got more and I started to give them food. And that's when I questioned and said to myself, who's feeding these dogs? how do these dogs survive? Like, why are they even here? Because back in Australia, you don't have any stray dogs. There's no stray dogs anywhere. You know, as soon as you see a dog on the street, you call the RSPCA, they come, they pick him up, they stay in the kill shelter for a week. If they can't adopt them, then they put the dog to sleep. So then people said, you know, sometimes they eat out of the trash, they eat from here, they eat from there. Anyway, and that was when I went to the chicken shop and I bought chicken and I started to feed these guys. And then I started to feed them, and then I used to think to myself, the days I didn't feed them, who's feeding them and how are they surviving? So it was that empath side of me that started to open up. I'm looking at my dog and I'm thinking, shit, what about these other dogs? Who's looking after them? And that's how it all started. From that little act of just feeding a stray dog, I ended up feeding every single stray dog in my whole town, including the city and all around Turkey. And that was when the Instagram accounts opened up, social media, the YouTube channels and all that sort of stuff. And then everyone from around the world started to follow, people from around the world started to come. This all started just from one little pug. And then, and I grew this different bond with Tyson. So basically here, dogs aren't allowed in banks. Tyson was allowed in banks. Dogs aren't allowed in restaurants. Tyson was allowed in restaurants. Dogs aren't allowed in the post office. He was allowed in the post office. He was allowed, he stole so many hearts. He had this different energy around him. And because of him, a lot of people changed. A lot of things changed. And he was going in and out of places where it was hard to even get people to go into. And then that day came where the karma, I see it as the karma, where he was diagnosed with encephalitis, brain pug encephalitis. And that disease is a killer disease. It's a 99% death rate. And he had a 1% survival chance. People that have followed me for a long time know what I went through to keep him alive. I moved mountains. A lot of people from all around the world helped out. They sent medication, they sent CBD oil, they sent everything. I got the best vets from all around the world onto this this disease that he's been diagnosed with. So we kept him alive for a year and a half. I was in a very dark place for 1 year. I remember for close to 8 months, I practically didn't leave my house. I was in the dark. I couldn't make sound. Any little sound was highly decibeled into his brain. It was highly amplified, and he was having epileptic seizures constantly, and it was just a very, very dark time for me. And I fought till the end, and till the last few weeks or days, I should say. He ended up going blind. He ended up being paraplegic. The brain completely cut contact with the body. The only thing he was able to do was eat, and we were just constantly changing his nappies, cleaning him up and everything. In the end, people were looking at me like I was crazy because I was keeping him alive. They were saying, you're being selfish. You gotta put him to sleep, you gotta put him to sleep. And I always had a rule, and I still got that same rule till today, but never ever say never. I remember, I learned this the hard way. I always said that I'll never ever ever put a dog to sleep, ever in my life. And could you guys believe that the only dog that I ever put to sleep, through all these rescues and everything that I'm going through, was my only son. Like, I ended up putting him to sleep. that day, the 20th of November 2020, we made the decision with the family. He was actually scraping on the floor and he had cuts everywhere. We were looking at him, we were all crying, we were all devastated. I called the vet, I said, look, he's going through too much, I can't do this anymore. He was having a dozen seizures a day. He had a heart that was so strong, he just wouldn't give up. He was just surviving and surviving and surviving. He survived up until the moment where I had to make a decision that was, it still haunts me till today, and I still apologise. Whenever I pray, I still apologise to him till this day. And I called the vet and said, what can I do? I had Xanaxes and all that sort of stuff. And he goes, give him 10 and go to sleep. I threw 10 in his mouth. We're waiting there, crying. Nothing happened. And then the vet called the vet and he said, bring him to the clinic, we'll do it. And it was late at night, it was like 10 o'clock at night. It was raining that night as well. So we drove him there. We took him there, I went with a couple of mates, and they put him on the bench. And then and there, I wanted to pull out. I wanted everything to go back to normal, because I'm putting my son, I'm putting him to sleep. No one would want to do that. No one would want to put any loved ones to sleep. They would fight till the end. But at that moment, when he was on that table, he can't get up, he can't walk, he can't do nothing. He was overweight. So we ended up injecting him with X, and we ended up putting him to sleep. And that was the hardest decision I've ever made in my life. I actually went through really bad, severe depression after that. I have not adopted a dog since. It's been 1 year. I haven't adopted any dog. I'm staying away from that sort of stuff because I get attached, and I give my all, my 110%. I don't just adopt a dog for a dog. I will never purchase a dog again. But what I'm trying to say is this: I had to purchase a dog and go through all of that for my life to work out like this. That's why I can't get mad at anybody. Alright, what we're going to do now, we're going to go there. I'm going to show you guys where we've buried him in the forest, his favourite spot. We used to go for walks there every morning and just pay a visit to him, just the 1 year anniversary, because this guy's got a lot of respect. A lot of these dogs need to thank him for all of this. The reason why all of this has happened is just from this one little bloke. I had no connection with animals before. I was a heavy meat eater. I went raw vegan at one stage. I've cut a lot of things, edible products. I stay away from all that sort of stuff. I'm always about the environment now, helping out, sometimes you need something, a reason or something for your life to change. And even if it's a wrong start, it could end up being a beautiful ending. So, let's go. exactly 1 year ago today. This is where we buried Tyson, his favourite place in this forest. Miss you, brother.